And if you're new like I am, number 4 is really going to surprise you. What's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. Sarah here from Pink Sugar Soapery, a bakery-inspired bath and body product business online. Today, I wanted to talk about just some kind of things that I've learned in general, I guess as far as business goes, since starting my handmade business. These are not like mistakes, they're not regrets. I don't want to like frame the video in that way. They're just things that maybe tips or like shortcuts might be a better way to describe it. I don't know. Either way, let's just get into it. Okay, these are in no particular order. However, number 4, if you're new like I am, I really think is going to surprise you. Let's roll it all the way back to number 1. The first thing that truly would have gotten me off on my best foot forward is tracking inventory from the moment that I started purchasing. You know, at the very beginning, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going with this. I wasn't sure if it was a hobby. I wasn't sure if, you know, my daughter and I were going to make something once or twice and then just kind of move on to the next thing. I really didn't know how far it was going to go and what it would become, and what it still has yet to become. So when I realized, okay, this is cool, I kind of want to take it more seriously, then going into starting my own business, I had a backlog, like a really long backlog of expenses or purchases or inventory and stuff like that, that I had to log to make sure that I had, you know, all of my accurate ingredient amounts and all of those kinds of things. For me, I think that having started that earlier, it would have set me up in a much greater place. As time was going on, I ended up ordering duplicates or thinking I ordered something that I really didn't order. So I just kind of had a lot going on. And had I started doing that inventory at the beginning, it really would have helped me just kind of, you know exactly what I'm doing and where I'm at and how much I'm paying for things. Set yourself up for greatness and start tracking your supply orders from day 1. Number 2, which is arguably the most challenging, would be to tell myself, you know, you can avoid wasting a bunch of time and money and feeling like you're treading water by having a super clear focus. And I do think that in a way, you do sort of have to go through like the figuring out and actually going through the process of making the things and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, seeing what you like and what you don't. I do in a way think that you have to go through that in order to find your focus. I've not gone through the stages of my business that were like very minimal and then very girly pink champagne, that I wouldn't have landed where I am today, which is exactly where I want to be. So I guess this one would be best taken with a grain of salt because, again, I think sometimes the places that you have been lead you to where you are meant to be, but then also at the same time, it's really easy to run away with spending all of the money that you have for the business on things that aren't necessarily going to be a product for you or help you grow later, if that makes sense. Anyway, number 3. This one hurt me in the heart just a little bit. So you always hear, you know, people saying, oh, just build it, the people will come. That's not true at all, okay? Sorry to put it bluntly, but that's just literally not true. You can build your website and launch the best website that has ever been created on earth, but if you don't have people coming to it, no one is ever going to, 1, know about you, or 2, buy from you. Really going to need a solid plan that gets people from wherever they're starting to the end point of your website to make a purchase. So if people, you know, wherever people are finding you, social media, word of mouth, campaign flyers, farmers markets, wherever people are finding you, you need to get them onto your website or give them the information to get to your website, because without that, you're not going to have any customers. It's the moment you've been waiting for. It is number 4, and no, we're not done after this. We still have more, but number 4, working with vanilla fragrance is a cluster. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just, it's a nightmare. And I'm sure it's just my inexperience. I'm sure that as you grow and practice and, you know, do more things with it, that it turns out just fine. But I have made a handful of products with vanilla, and each and every one of them has been ruined, and I cannot use them. So not only am I out the product itself, but the ingredients, which really stinks. And I guess kind of they're like one and the same, but also not one and the same, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, it just is such a pain to work with. I know in cold processed soap, it changes the color, like it turns brown. Well, actually, this is true for everything. Everything that you're making with vanilla is going to change to be a brown color. They trace or like harden a lot faster, so you don't have as much time to work with. It just, every time I have tried to use vanilla, it just really doesn't work for me, and it's very frustrating. So any tips you have for working with vanilla, I'd love to hear them, because as you all know, we are growing here together. I don't know everything about everything, so I would love to hear your tips for working with vanilla. Next up, coming in at number 5 is, when you are first working on a product, it is quite likely that you're going to be terrible at it. It doesn't mean that you're terrible. It just means that you need more practice. I became very discouraged, you know, trying to make candles, trying to make cold processed soap. You know, I've been very open about how my experiences with that have been. You can definitely check out this video if you would like to see exactly how terrible my cold processed soap making has, my experience in cold processed soap making has been. But it just, you know, it's just one of those things. You can't just hop into something and expect that everything is perfect. You can't just pull up someone else's recipe and expect that product to be, you know, your best seller right off the break. Even if you have a recipe for it, you still need to work with it. You still need to practice. There are so many factors that go into it. You need to make sure that you are giving yourself the time needed to figure these things out. Now, this last one may or may not apply to you. I really think it depends on whether or not you are like a shiny object syndrome person. I certainly am. So this has really rang true for me and been super helpful since I like actually figured it out. But we all like to look at others for inspiration. You know, there are so many wonderful product makers out there that do a great job, that can inspire you to do great things in your own business. But what I have found is, as soon as I figure out my angle or like exactly what I'm going for, I need to stop looking at the inspiration or looking to others for inspiration. Because as soon as I start working on whatever I've decided and then I see a different idea, I immediately want to jump to the next idea, or I immediately think, you know what, that idea is so much better than my idea. Avoiding looking at inspiration once you've decided will stop you from second guessing yourself and becoming, you know, like better at making whatever product it is that you're making, because you never know where it could take you until you start. And if you're constantly second guessing and going to the next and going to the next and going to the next, you're always going to feel like you're treading water because you won't be making any real progress. You know what I mean? Hopefully I explained that well. I feel like I did. So anyway, just as a quick recap to the video, there are always going to be things that you assume for your business that aren't necessarily valid for you and how you run things. I was really happy to film this video because I think that these like cheats or tips, whatever it is that you want to call them, I really do think that they will make a difference for you. And I'm glad that you could just watch this video to figure it out instead of kind of going through it yourself and like trying to figure out what it is that you're doing. Okay, that's gonna be it for me today. If you have not checked out my TikTok, I have a fragrance oil review series over there. It's going pretty well. I'd love to have you at Pink Sugar Soapery, and I will see you next weekend on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.